This one is called The Queen of Style. Wowee. This looks like it's going to be fun. There once was a queen who ruled over a very small kingdom of farmers and sheep. Every day the queen, whose name was Sophie, would sit on her throne and wait for someone to come in with a problem. If there was one, which there usually wasn't, the sheep were well behaved and so were the farmers. But Queen Sophie had nothing to do and she was very bored. Sophie called for the jester. "Amuse me," she commanded. The jester did his best. Day after day he told jokes, juggled balls, or somersaulted until there was nothing else he could think of to do. Then they were both bored. "Can't you do something?" asked Queen Sophie. "No," answered the jester crossly. "Can't you?" The queen had to think about that. "I don't know how to do anything except be the queen," she told the jester as he packed his bags to leave. "Then learn," he said shortly. "Goodbye." Sophie thought and thought about what the jester had said. It would be nice to be able to do something besides sit around and be queen, but what? She searched through all her old message scrolls. She pored over all the books in the castle. She read the news parchment. And finally, one day, Sophie spotted an ad for something that seemed to be just what she was looking for. Royal College of Beauty Correspondence Course. Learn the art of beautifying in 12 easy lessons. Amazing new styles, exciting new looks. Enroll now. "I certainly will," said the queen, and she sent away for the lessons immediately. Sophie was excited when the supplies from the beauty school arrived. She couldn't wait to get started. Every night she stayed up late studying the history of beautifying. She memorized directions for cutting, curling, coloring, and plucking. But there was one part of the course that had the queen stumped. She was supposed to practice each lesson 50 times on 50 different people. How would she ever do that? She didn't know 50 people. She wasn't even sure there were 50 people in all her kingdom. But there were people in her kingdom, and they would just have to help their queen. Sophie wrote out a proclamation and tacked it up on every tree in the kingdom. It read, "Everyone come to the castle tomorrow. Queen's orders." When Sophie opened the castle doors the next morning, all the people in the kingdom were waiting. "Right this way," the queen directed. One by one, she asked each person to sit down on a chair in the middle of the courtyard. She pinned a sheet around their necks and wet down their hair. Then she lifted up her shiny scissors and slowly began to cut. Chop, chop, she cut the hair of all of the men. Snip, snip, she cut the hair of all the women. Chop, snip, it was much harder to do than it had looked in the drawings. She cut the hair of all the girls and then the hair of all the boys. When she was through cutting, the castle floor was covered in hair, but Queen Sophie was humming. She hadn't been bored once all day. She had enjoyed herself so much that she didn't want to stop. So she went outside and trimmed all of the sheep. Oh my goodness. A few days later, Sophie was ready to practice her next lesson. Again, she rode around the kingdom, tacking up notices on all the trees. "Everyone come to the castle tomorrow. Queen's orders. Bring your sheep, too." This time, Queen Sophie curled the hair of everyone in the kingdom. She rolled and steamed the hair of all the men, women, boys, and girls, one by one. She didn't notice the grumbling of the men. She was too busy. And when she was finished with the people, she curled all of the wool of all the sheep. The next week, the queen tacked up another notice. When everyone came, Sophie took them by the hand one by one. She soaked and filed and buffed and painted until everyone had been manicured to perfection. When she finished working on all the farmers' fingernails, she went out looking for the sheep. It was difficult, but she managed to prettify their hooves a little. The queen was singing when she went to bed. She had never had such fun. All through the summer, Queen Sophie worked on her course. Every week, she commanded her subjects to come to the palace. She shaved, shaped, colored, and waved. She steamed, conditioned, and waxed. She tied ribbons and bows. When it was time to pluck, everyone in the kingdom had graceful, arching eyebrows, but she gave up on the sheep. Wow. Does she even have eyebrows? Oh my goodness, look at all those funny hairstyles. One morning, Queen Sophie could hear the mumble of voices outside before she even opened the castle door. All of her subjects were gathered, and they did not look happy. "Yes," the queen asked sweetly, "is there a problem?" I took some time for the crowd to be quiet enough for anyone to be heard. Then a large, burly man stepped forward. The problem we have, Your Majesty, is you. I don't want to come to the castle every other day to have my eyelashes dyed and my hair curled. I've got sheep to tend. That's right, called a woman. I've got no need to have my chin shaved. I need to be spinning my wool. Another farmer spoke up, and I would like my sheep to look like sheep. Look, you've got this funny sheep do. Sophie was devastated. She had been having so much fun she hadn't noticed that the others were not. She was very quiet as they complained one by one. When the crowd fell silent, the queen finally spoke. I'm sorry, she said softly. You don't have to come here anymore. I didn't mean to bother you, I guess. I thought you were enjoying everything as much as I was. The people looked one another. Then the big farmer stepped forward again. I don't like curling, he said, but I do like my beard trimmed. And I like having my hair dyed red, shouted a woman from the back of the crowd. Then the others began to call out, I want my nails done. I like to have my hair curled. I'd like to have a shave now and again. The children could use a haircut. Now that summer's well on, my drawers has never looked so good. I did like the smell of my sheep with that fancy shampoo. Then the queen looked at the farmers standing there, her farmers. She thought about how they had come to the castle day after day, rain or shine. Really, it was remarkable how patient they had been. From this time forth, Queen Sophie proclaimed, just come to the castle when you want to. I promise that from now on I will do your bidding. Then one day there was a letter on everyone's doorstep. It read, I'm finally graduating. Yes, it's true. I'm glad for all I've learned to do. Couldn't have made it through without you. Come to my party and bring your sheep too. The party was a great success. As Queen Sophie circulated around the courtyard with a tray of dainty sandwiches, she realized that she had gained something more important than a license. As a beautician, she had friends. She knew that Jack liked his hair long and Susanna preferred the lavender-scented shampoo. She knew who was expecting a baby, whose grandmother had been sick, and who was visiting from out of town. She had gotten to know each sheep, too. She had almost forgotten about being queen. It didn't really seem very important anymore. The farmers didn't forget. They were proud when they went to market with their beautiful wives and handsome children. But it was the spectacular sheep that brought the real fame to Sophie, who became known from kingdom to kingdom ever after as the Queen of Style. Look at all those funny sheep. And that's the end of our story.